All right. It's Kevin Garcia, a.k.a. the Puerto Rican Kid KG. This is Fight Hype, and the man in front of me needs no introduction, but if you're confused, Matchroom's own Eddie Hearn. How you doing, Eddie?
I'm doing fantastically well. I'm so excited for Saturday. I mean, great press conference. This arena is probably one of the best arenas I've seen up close in this country. It's going to be absolutely jumping in here on Saturday night, and looking forward to a great show live on DAZN.
Yeah, so obviously Boots homecoming. He had a late replacement, but it looks like he's focused. He's ready for this fight. And I spoke to him a little bit about this fight and the future. And I don't want us to get too ahead of ourselves, but I've got to ask you. So, 147 right now, you got a couple guys who are in a room who will be elevated shortly. In Mario Barrios and Brian Norman, and you got Stan Jonas. So it's anticipated. Most would assume he's going to win this fight easily. He gets past his opponent. What's next for Boots? What would you like to see him do?
I don't think it's going to be easy, but, I think he's a big favourite against Avanesyan, who I think is a tougher test than Cody Crowley. He's going to come to fight. He's very, very tough, but Boots is a special fighter, and... I think the move to 154 is inevitable, and the move probably to 160 is inevitable. But at the same time, you want to make sure that you get the job done in your weight class before you move up. So I feel like if you didn't unify, it would be disappointing. So I expect a performance on Saturday night where people aren't going to be queuing up to fight Jaron Ennis because of how good and dangerous he is. But hopefully, with the money we're going to generate through the gate, we can continue to grow at Wells Fargo and bring those big fights to Philadelphia.
No doubt. Eddie, there is so much going on in boxing right now. I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you about some of this stuff. And we'll start with the obvious. Shakur. So he just had a fight last weekend. What's your reaction to his performance and maybe some of the backlash he's been receiving because of it?
Yeah, I think that when people are spinning narrative about someone being boring, if you like, then they're going to jump over every performance. You can't really win. And I feel a bit for Shakur because he's a one-man band. He's Shakur against the world. Like, he has no promotional vehicle behind him. He has no promotional support. He has no mouthpiece. He has no spokesperson. It's just him putting out fires and fighting wars on Twitter, which actually you got to move away from because it's draining. It's also a waste of time. So, he needs someone that's going to fight those fights for him. As a fighter, I think he's already top 5 pound for pound fighter in the world. I think he's an outstanding talent. I think he's going to look even better against fighters who come to fight and have similar quality. I personally think the Williams-Zepeda fight is a great fight for him. Obviously, he's a DAZN fighter as well. That's a fight we could look to make. But also, there's a big crowd in Newark, and it was the biggest rating on ESPN this year. So people don't like to champion that kind of information too much. Obviously, if he was with us, I'd be telling the world about that kind of thing, and I'm doing it for free right now. So congratulations. But we'll see what happens in the future. He's coming on Saturday night. We'd love to work for him. It has to work for Matchroom, has to work for Shakur. But, like I said, he's an outstanding young talent. If you look at our roster, which is incredible, fighters like Bam Rodriguez, fighters like Jaron Boots Ennis, these are guys that are top 5 pound for pound. I think he's another one. So to bring him to the roster would be a great catch.
Yeah, and obviously he's a free agent right now, like you just referenced. He turned down $15 million reportedly from Top Rank. Have you guys started any kind of conversation or negotiations or anything like that?
No, not yet. No. I mean, look, we do things a little bit differently to some people in the respect of a lot of these promotional companies like to tie you down for 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. Could be a 1-fight deal, could be a 2-fight deal, could be a 3-fight deal, could be a 5-fight deal. It's got to work for us as well as for Shakur. So, what I also don't want to do is bring a talent like that on board and not be able to deliver the fights for him. That's why I like the Zepeda fight, because I think it's a fight that's achievable with DAZN and with Golden Boy, and I think it's a great fight as well. So that'll be the first port of call, if you like. Fights like Tank, fights like, maybe moving up and fighting Teofimo. Who knows if those fights are achievable? But the risk for Shakur now is not getting those fights. So free agency, as we've seen in the past, sometimes sounds like a good idea, can occasionally be a disaster, but we'll see.